My friend, welcome.
Hey, cheers. Thanks for having me, dog.
Thanks for coming. So, we're drinking cold sake, and this is episode 7 of the SLEWNIVERSE podcast, and we're joined by none other. People know, but I'm going to do a great intro anyway. Matt Dean, a.k.a. Kiptoe.
Me, baby.
He's a professional artist. One of the most professional, probably, muralists on the internet who travels the globe, has large-scale murals everywhere. He's also a fine artist. He's also a videographer, a filmer. He's also a director. He has, corporate clients and global murals globally around the world. And he's also a really nice guy. And he also has a channel on YouTube where he documents and, displays his travels. And it's really exciting. So I'm really happy you're here.
I'm happy to be here, bro.
And why are you here? You're just here for a couple days?
I just finished like a mural tour. So I started in LA. It's been like over a month now. I started in LA. I did a mural fest there with some homies. And then went to Marion, Illinois, which is like a very southern part of Illinois, close to Kentucky there. And like did one of my biggest murals yet. It was 175 feet long across this huge back side of this cultural and civic center they have there.
Yeah.
It was super cool. That was a big commission that I did. And then I took the train up to Chicago, met up with 1000 and Modustrial Maker. We did a 3-way collab on YouTube.
I love it.
Painted his garage there. That was super fun for like a day and a half. And then I went to another wall in Chicago and painted for another week with another guy named Thomas Turner, who they kind of like the festival Titan Walls, which was a big festival there in Chicago. They bring in a whole bunch of artists, paint walls and stuff. They kind of set us up on the same wall because it was pretty big and it was a little bit too big for us to tackle by ourselves. So they put us together and we did kind of split it in half and meshed it in the middle. And we didn't even meet each other right until we got to the wall. And then like by the end of the time painting, we were like super homies. And it was like such a great time, and I was just like really, really fun. And
you'll have to send me some pictures because we'll overlay it for this.
Yeah,
because
awesome.
That's a busy ass August, huh?
And then I went to Connecticut for my buddy's wedding. Got to see one of my best friends get married, and then I was really close to New York City, and I saw your space on YouTube, and I was like, man, I haven't been in New York City in a minute, and I'd love to hang out with you and do a cool thing. So here I am.
Awesome, dude. Yeah, that's wonderful. I mean, I would consider us internet pals. Like we talk here and there, and I've talked to you for years, but actually, to throw it way back, we have met before, way back when with JT. Real short story. Kiptoe was nice enough. I was in LA with JT, and I kind of hit up Kiptoe way before my YouTube channel was anything. I was just a random kid. Asked him if he wanted to meet up and paint, and he got us a wall at the Graph Lab, and we painted all day, made a video together, and you drove me around. We went to that awesome museum, and you were so nice and kind, man. Seriously. And it was such a good memory, and like it was just very generous. And then we've just been doing our own YouTube thing, and we talk here and there. But yeah, it's awesome that we're hanging out. And also for the people listening, we're gonna do an awesome painting kind of video where we're gonna paint each other, so that will be a separate video if you want to check that out. But I kind of want to just dive in, and I have wonderful questions, but I want to know, especially for painters and people in your position, I want to know like the kind of beginning stages of maybe like your high school career, like getting into art. Like, did you go to art school? I kind of know about you because I'm a super fan, but for the populace, can you just run through like the formative years of becoming an artist and gaining your skills?
I mean, I've always been an artist. I've always been that art kid that everyone knows does art and draws and stuff. And like, I've always been creative. Like, I don't even know where I came from. Nobody else in my family is even creative in any sort of like art capacity. So like, I kind of like fell from space and crash landed. And then like my parents were like, oh, this looks cute. And then they just like raised me. But like, no, like my family was super supportive of everything I've ever done. And like, they're a big part of my success. Like, I really appreciate my family. But like, I was growing up and I was like, I started drawing, and I had a bunch of sketchbooks as a kid. I'd always be drawing stuff. Like, I would go to the comic book stores and draw all the comics, and I would even like go to the doctor's office, and there would be like a hepatitis B brochure like on the wall. And like, I didn't know what that was as a kid. I picked it up. There was like a superhero like blasting the hepatitis B monster. I was like, that's awesome.
Osmosis Jones shit. Yeah.
So I drew that in my sketchbook, and so, man, I've always just been a creative kid. And then I started getting into like movies, like 13-year-old. My mom got like, this was, I don't know what year it was. I can't do math right now, but like, it was like when digital cameras first started coming out, those point and shoot cameras.
Right.
and they had like a movie mode. It was like 240p, and like I discovered that one day, and I started making like stupid videos with my action figures, and then I started grow and grow and grow. I started like writing these scripts for like Mission Impossible fan films. I get all my kids at the lunch table involved, and I bring them over to my house, and like every year I would write a new script for the summertime, and I would bang out this action movie every summer, and they get bigger and bigger and bigger every year. And like there was almost to a point where like the movie making would like take over my love for art. And then I came to a point after I graduated high school, like I did that. My high school had a really great art program, and I would even like, I stood out quite a lot, and my teacher noticed, and she invited me to like freshman year, she invited me to these portrait painting sessions like every other Saturday, where there would be like 45 minutes away from my house. Like there would be these adults that would do these portrait painting sessions every Saturday with a live model, and they would set up the lighting, and they would paint from 9 to 12 on Saturdays, and get together and like have workshops and stuff. And I started with like charcoal. I didn't know how to paint back then. I just started with charcoal, and I was like, pretty bad. And then I just kept going and going and going. I get better and better, and I learned from the adults around me, and they would teach me new things. And Mark Hayden was like one of the, like the main instructors there, and he was like a professional oil painter. And that was the first time I met a real artist.
Shout out,
like,
Mark.
Yeah.
And so you were taking it seriously throughout high school. It was like a hobby, but you got these opportunities. You had the good art program, so you were taking it seriously.
Yeah.
And gaining skills.
But I was always like putting extra into it. There was like, my teacher wouldn't have invited me if I didn't have like the oomph and the potential to begin with. And,
totally.
And like, I feel blessed to be able to like have the opportunities as well. Then I graduated high school, and I was like, oh, I guess I should go to college. I grew up in New Hampshire, on the East Coast there. So like, I was privileged enough to be able to like, afford to go to college. So it was like, I was like privileged enough to have that option. I paid for it quite dearly afterwards in student loans, obviously, like everyone. But like, I looked at a few different schools. I even looked at like the expensive ones, like, SCAD and Georgia and stuff. But, I didn't know if I wanted all that, like the super art school, like
the rigorous curriculum.
I don't even think I got along with the art kids back then. Like I got along with the regular kids, and like I wanted to be able to swim as well. I was a swimmer in high school.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I started on like, I was a really terrible swimmer. Well, it's actually not true. I was like a pretty good natural swimmer. I'd always beat the kids in the backyard pool, and then I joined the swim team. I was like, I can do this. And I realized like, holy cow, this is way more effort than I thought it was. Like this is super hard, and all the kids were lapping me like crazy. But then I got better and better and better like every year, and I was like second in the state for breaststroke as a senior, and I was like, I want to keep doing this.
You got them nice shoulders, them lanky body parts.
I was like, I was like meant for it, and I was like, I want to keep doing this. So
that was a part of the decision making of going to higher education.
I went to I chose UMass, University of Massachusetts at Dartmouth, not the Dartmouth Ivy League school like everyone thinks. It's just like a branch from University of Massachusetts, and they had pretty good art program. They had illustration program, and they had like fine art painting and graphic design. But I chose illustration because I thought, that seemed like, that just kind of felt like the right choice. Like I could do like, magazines or like comic books or stuff.
A career sort of thing.
Some sort of career thing,
Okay, that makes sense.
And so I did all 4 years. I got my bachelor's in illustration, and I was just kind of like going through the motions. I felt like at school, I still had literally no idea what I wanted to do or how my art wanted to look. I would like just follow the assignments pretty well, like to the T. But like every assignment was like this way and this way and this way. I was like doing the assignments really well, but that didn't really mean shit for like what I wanted to do or what I want my art to look like. And I would do summer projects where I would like spend the entire summer doing personal pieces, and I'd do clothing, and I would paint my hats, and I would do these big graffiti canvases, and then I would do watercolors and like caricatures, and like I was all over the map.
Yeah, so a little of everything.
just trying stuff, which I guess is like good in the end to just try a bunch of things, figure out what you do like and what you don't like. But it didn't really help because I liked all of them.
Yeah.
And so I was still like, by the end of graduating college, I was just like they taught you how to make art, but they didn't teach you how to be an artist.
That's exactly right. And I have a lot to say about that. But yeah, I know what you mean.
And so then you're just kind of like, you get a nursing degree and you apply at hospitals. You get an art degree and you're like, what do I do with this?
Yeah.
Like I remember before that, every job I applied to, as a kid growing up, doing odd jobs here and there and stuff, pretty much every job I applied to, I got. And right after I graduated college, literally every job I applied to got shut down.
And these were what kind of jobs? Like illustrator jobs, or
I even applied to like graphic design for like the newspaper.
The generic
got
stuff.
Shut down.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I gotta rethink this whole thing. And
this is interesting.
I was like applying to like Nike and Adidas because they had like internships and stuff, and I had to like design clothes and do a proposal, and like still didn't make it in. And I'm just like, all right, well, none of this seems to be up my lane. I'm not doing the right stuff. And then one of my old professors, I got like an inkling for murals somehow. I did a mural in high school actually. My swim team pool, like literally like the day before senior night, I had like 6 hours on a Sunday from like 12 to 6 p.m. to paint this little mural on the back wall of our swimming pool with the mascot going like with his goggles and swim gear and stuff.
I love that.
That was like my first like mural, and I was like, oh, this is cool. It looked like crap back then, but like I did it.
Oh, I believe that.
And and then I went through, and I was doing graph too as a 16, 17 year old.
Okay, because I was gonna ask.
Yeah. So yeah, I was doing graph with a high school homie of mine, a little bit here and there, but it wasn't anything like I was trying to get a name up or anything.
Yeah.
We were just writing shit.
Just hobbies. So you just were clearly a pocket of hobbies within art for everything.
Yeah. Which I feel like is a lot of people,
Sure. I mean, I basically have the same story. I just didn't go to school.
Yeah.
I bet, it's the same sort of kid taking it way more seriously than just drawing at school, whatever. Yeah. But I mean, like, I know kind of what happened. You made this huge jump, right? To move out to LA by yourself, didn't have a thing. A
little bit later, but
not to jump forward, but
I mean, yeah. But there's a YouTube video explaining how
I know, but so give us the elevator pitch. So that was like a huge what
then,
about the decision?
So after school, there was an old professor who hooked me up with her brother, and her brother was working for a housing company corporation in Olneyville, Providence, Rhode Island. They're looking to paint a mural. I was looking to paint a mural, so it was like a boom, big match. And after a few months of negotiating and doing all the bureaucracy bullshit and like trying to find a wall, and like this one was perfect, and then like couldn't get the permits or like the parking space cleared or whatever because these people own this, whatever. And I quickly realized like painting murals is not just about art. There is so much other moving parts and other stuff you have to get coordinating with these people and like clearing the the lot for this and getting the wall permission. Like there's so much stuff, and I realized like, wow, this is way more effort than I thought. But then finally I found my own wall. I was like, let me just do this myself because like that's like they're only gonna help me so far, but I'm the one who wants to paint the most, so I'm gonna do it myself and figure my own wall out. And I just found one right around the corner, and then I asked them, and we got permission. I was like, let's just do this wall, and they're like, okay. And then I got all the materials that I thought that I needed. Like I was just winging it. Like, okay, I get this bucket paint and this spray paint. This might be this much. Like I don't know.
No spray paint at this point.
No, it was all I had sprays.
Oh, okay.
It's like pretty much the same process I do today.
Oh, okay.
But like, yeah, I used the pole to sketch it out on the wall, and then like I filled in the background, and then I used the sprays. And this is my first time like really using sprays for like art. Like a mural, like a big, like, and I didn't know what I was doing. I was still using like cardboard to cut lines and stuff.
Oh, I love that.
And then it took me like 7 days to paint this Superboy is on the side of this building, which was actually like for kids. So I painted this boy. He's got like a Superboy. Like
what? That was your first one?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
We'll put a picture up, Chris. That is an epic mural. Yeah. There's a video on this on YouTube.
Yeah. There's no video of me making the mural.
Right, but Yeah, no,
explaining.
Wow, dude, I love that mural with the cape and everything and the toy plane.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, people, that's crazy.
It was actually
Stop being so humble, bro. That mural is so sick.
I had him with like a squirt gun and a red, white, and blue popsicle, like a gun and a sword. But they're like, let's like deal away with the weapon analogies. So I was like, okay, and I did 2 toy airplanes, and then he's like, and yeah, that was my first real big mural.
And so, not to speak for you, but were you just enthused with energy and excitement and motivation to keep going because you were amped?
That, I was just like, oh my God, like this feeling that I've been waiting for forever is finally upon me. Like I know what I want to do now. And like, I feel like I just want to keep doing this like as much as I can. And like finally found a lane to sink my teeth into.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, you executed the balls out of that one. So you're like, let's do more. But so, sorry, keep going.
But the thing is like, you know, there was a bunch of like graph blogs back then where they were posting a bunch of work from everyone around the world. I'm like, I'm going to do this mural. I'm going to post it on this blog. I'm going to get people's attention, and then I'm going to blow them up.
Yeah.
This is going to be amazing.
So you had that inclination of trying to expose it.
Yeah. So I was like, let's do this. I emailed them my work. I was like, get that on your blog. Crickets.
Well,
Didn't even hear back from the blog.
So this is all before Instagram, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I was like, actually, no, I think I just started my Instagram, but
it was very wee. Small platform back then.
I had like 100 followers or something, just my friends.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, dude, I was like quickly realized like, oh, this is gonna be a lot harder than I thought. But I'm down for the work.
Yeah.
So.
And so then, what about the trip to LA? Because I feel like that's so dramatic, and it's also one of those things where like it's kind of like the dream. And it's similar to almost being an actor. It's like, I'm going to drop everything. I don't really have much plans. I don't know what your plans were, but like, let me just go to LA and try to make it as an artist. But did you have that, you know, kind of agenda, narrowed vision of murals, freelance, you know, street artist? Also, was the video aspect and documentary work from the get-go also? Like, can you run us through that move?
Yeah.
Look, I have it right here. Moving to LA.
So I was bumming around New Hampshire for like about a year after school, and I was even like passing out flyers and brochures and trying to get my own work. I got I got a few jobs, mural jobs here and there. I did one for like a gymnastics studio. I did one for a restaurant. You know, I was still like getting work, but it was a little few and far between. But I was still, you know, making money and practicing business and getting my work out there and like speaking for myself, trying to get my own work. Like, I quickly realized like no one's gonna get work for me. Like I have to get my own work for me. And so yeah, being very proactive about it and slowly building a portfolio for myself. And then there was just like this feeling where I was like, I don't even belong here anymore. Like, why do I have to stay where I grew up? Like, you know, this is stupid. Like I've always had big hard eyes for LA, and I'm just like, I came to New York City actually because it was kind of like I either have to move to New York or move to LA.
The two big cities.
And New York was closer, and I actually had my old art teacher who invited me to those portrait drawings. She hooked me up with her old student. He was like in his 40s, and he met me at like a holiday event in Londonderry, and he's like, you want to come stay at my place for a week in Brooklyn? Show you around.
That's sweet.
I was like, great. So I went to New York for like a week and pretended to live here. And I tried to do as many things as possible. I like went to all the figure drawing workshops that I could to meet a bunch of people. You know, I partied a bunch, and then I was like, you know, taking the train and just getting the gist of the city.
Right.
And then I was like, okay, I kind of, you know, I get it. But I still want to see LA though. And I had never been there, and I'm just like, well, shit, man, I'm not gonna fly out there. Like, might as well like just take my car, like, and drive.
Yeah.
And I'll do like a cool ass like trip across the country. That's like a bucket list thing.
Of course, totally.
And like that's what the U.S. is great for. Like, if you've never done a trip across the country, you should do that.
I completely agree.
Very soon, because it's one of the like greatest American pastimes to drive across the country.
Yeah, I agree.
And so it was awesome, man. I went from New Hampshire. I went down to Virginia in Richmond, and I saw like all of my favorite mural artists work there, like in person.
Mm-hmm.
I even like one of my favorite works of all time, ETAM Crew. They did a piece called Moonshine, and it was like one of the most popular works of 2013. And it was there in Richmond, and I even bought a print of that work that sold out in like 22 seconds. I got like number 36.
Holy moly!
And I went down and I saw that mural specifically in person, as massive as it was, and I was just like, it's almost like taking the red pill, you know? And I was like, this is a real thing. Like,
that's so cool.
It's like I took, like, somehow put my glasses on. I realized like this is like a real thing that people do. And I was like, I can do this. You know, it's right there. It's just paint on a wall.
Yeah.
It's not magic or anything. And so yeah, then I kept going. I went to New Orleans or New Orleans, however you say it.
Yeah.
And then you know, I kept going through Texas, which took like basically half the time because Texas is massive.
Yeah, so you went the southern route.
But it was cool. Like there was some parts of Texas where it was like these like super flat, and then there would like these weird mounds, and then the road, it looked like someone took a butter knife and just went
Really?
and like
That's funny.
sucked the mound out and put the road right through it. It was
Like some of
weird.
those SpongeBob scenes when they're going jellyfish.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, it's weird.
I've never
man.
been to Texas, but that's cool.
And the speed limit's like 80 miles an hour. And then
Yeehaw.
you know, I would sleep in my car the whole way across the street, across the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
And I would see these like absolutely incredible night skies,
Ooh.
like especially in Texas. And I would just be like, literally in the middle of nowhere, like brushing my teeth, looking up at the sky, and being like, "Wow, this is amazing," and just like soak it in as I was going. I was just by myself, just doing stuff. And
Yeah.
and then you know, made it to Austin, and I painted a little mural there, like quickie
cool.
at the Castle Hill there, and like immediately met like 5 cool people there, and like still in touch with them today.
I love that.
And then went to Phoenix, Arizona, and I was just like walking around Phoenix and bumping into these guys like who are painting like in their backyard or on the street or whatever. And I was like, "Hey, what's up?" I started talking with them, and I was like, "Hey, I'm an artist too. I love your work." And we like immediately hit it off. And then he kind of showed me around, showed me his crew, and showed me some of his work around town on the walls. And then the next day, you know, we like got hooked up with a wall, and like literally the next morning, we blasted a wall all day, like in Glendale on the back of a motorcycle shop. Did this cool like Poseidon mural. So
Oh, hell yeah.
I was like already painting murals like on the way to LA.
So
And-
I'm just picturing the potential energy and how virile you were just on this trip, just slowly getting more excited. And like, I mean, were you trying to convince yourself, or you made the decision to drive across the country? It was like, this is what I'm doing. So you were already kind of committed.
already committed.
Yeah.
baby.
So you just hit
If
the
I could
ground
get-
running.
If I could get murals on the way to LA, like
Yeah.
obviously.
No,
you know?
but that's great. Wow, that's awesome. Yeah.
And like people might be listening like, "Oh, how does it happen? Like, are you getting paid for this? Like, how do you get materials?" Like, we're just paying for stuff ourselves. We're not, obviously we're not getting paid for this stuff. We're just painting to paint, and to get up and to like, you know, have fun, and also to get the work out there. Like
I think
it's
that's a
grind.
good point, because like, of course you're professionally, this is your career and you've made money, but those formative days are like, you're just trying to grind because you like it. And obviously the backward, like in the back agenda to get your work out, to get more work. But yeah, you were just straight hustling, doing your things. People weren't asking you to do it. So that's crazy. And how much more of that grind did it take? Like, let's flash forward. You go to LA.
I got to LA, and I was like still sleeping in my car. I didn't really know anybody and didn't have any opportunities. And I got a job washing dishes because that was like the lowest, easiest thing I could do. I didn't have any other experience. Didn't even have experience as a server. And like, they're pretty picky in LA about serving. So I was like, all right, screw you. I'm just going to get a dishwashing job. And I just need something to keep me afloat or buy groceries or whatever. And then like, I would be like driving around town all day looking for walls. And then I would like find CrossFit gyms, and I would approach them and be like, "Hey, I'd love to paint a cool CrossFit mural for your gym here." And I would literally make a list of all the CrossFit gyms in LA and go to them one by one and like drive to every single one. And like, then I would like, at the end of the day, be like, they said this, or they said no, they're not interested, or they might be interested, send a sketch. I'd have like a chart. And then, you know, none of those actually panned out. I never actually did any CrossFit murals. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna stop trying to get paid for these. I'm gonna start throwing stuff up. And eventually I landed on Circus Liquor in North Hollywood. And I after a bunch of no's, they finally were just the ones who said, yeah, I don't care. It's either like no,
green light,
or I don't care. And I take that I don't care and I sprint.
100%.
And I'm like, let's go, baby.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I was painting from like 8 to 3 or 4. And then I would pack up my stuff, drive across the valley, wash dishes. And then, you know, until wash dishes from like 5 or 6 to like 2 in the morning. And then sleep in my car. And then do it again until it was done.
I love the hustle, man.
And then I painted another one in Midtown, the Deadbeat Trio there, which is still there. Like both of those murals are still there, actually.
That's crazy, and that's another epic.
Awesome.
You do have a video of that one?
Yeah, that's when I started making videos.
Okay.
Where I was like, it's
a good keystone marker.
I even made a video of like my trip across country, but I wasn't like a YouTuber back then. I was more of like the just shoot stuff and like shoot myself, but I wasn't like addressing the camera or things like that. I wasn't talking to the camera and like, hey, what's up? It's Kiptoe. I'm here in LA. Like, I was like just like documenting the stuff and like getting quick 5-minute videos of the process. What's crazy is, you know, the mural that I did in North Hollywood, that first one on the back of Circus Liquor, that's like my first mural in LA, the first video in LA. And then that was in April. And then by October, I got an email from this place called the Murals, which was opening up. It was like a co-working space. And they didn't even see the work in person. They saw my YouTube video.
Hell yes.
Because they were searching North Hollywood mural. And that was like in my title. And they reached out to me and they said, hey, we love your work. We want you to paint your work in our space. It wasn't like,
pinch me.
It wasn't like, hey, you're good at painting. Can you paint this for us?
Which is the majority, right?
Yeah.
Of sort of those situations.
Because I'm not doing a gymnastics mural with kids doing flips and stuff.
Right.
I'm not doing a New Hampshire themed mural in a restaurant.
Right.
They're like, hey, your work is dope. We see the potential in you. We want you to flex in our space and make our space look cool with your work. And I'm like, that was the opening moment where I was like, oh shit, this is what I wanted. And I'm still great friends with them. They've linked up with me for a bunch of projects for their spaces, and they're like, they've had some struggles since COVID, but they're now opening up another space in Hollywood, and like they're hustlers just like me. They're super good at business, and like I look up to them, and like they've invited me to all their parties, and like the first clients I ever had are like still really good friends of mine. And
that's
like,
so awesome.
And I just kept going. Like I got so many stories after that. That's just like the beginning. But
yeah, well, that's what I want to know, because I think that grind, that come up, to kind of summarize that wonderful kind of sonnet you just displayed on us. It's like that's what people are so interested in. They're so curious, not for just entertainment purposes, but to like for how other people. I mean, I'm sure you get a million questions about your come up. That's why you made those videos. Or how do you start doing murals? How do you develop your style? Blah, blah, blah. But, you know, you hear a lot of the similar stories. People like you, it's like grind, work, you know, a dish job all night and paint as much as you can throughout every day. You know, so it's like, it's never the other way. It's never, oh, yeah, I just got lucky and some people said yes. I mean, throughout the grind and hustle bustle, did you get it? But I think that's super interesting. I mean, I kind of knew that, but it's even more epic to hear that. And so I kind of want to transition, knowing that, to the success of videos, because I think, me being a super fan, and you know that, it's funny, Kiptoe's been here for like a day and a half now, and I've just been like regurgitating every video he's ever done and every mural, and he's just like, wait, what? You know that? I'm like, yeah, dude, I watch every single video I have been. You and 1000 were like my, you know, big guys that I loved, and because... And again, like I like your artwork and your style is so cool, but the reason I was so attracted to you through the videos was the video. You know, we were talking just like last night about the stop motion video with the panels, and they're interchanging, and the art is super good, but it's such a sick video. It's so cool, and like it's clearly a lot of work, and like I'm just such a nerd for videography, and you also were saying earlier that like, you know, you just keep pushing yourself and that you look back on your videos even that are so dope, I think, and you're like, oh, I could do so, you know. So it's like, when did this whole like directorial videography aspect come in and why?
I mean, I told you I was 13 years old making movies in my backyard, and I don't know, it was more of like an innate thing that I just couldn't help. And
blending.
I was like obsessed with like, you know, Mission Impossible and Die Hard, and then I got more like interested in like more dramatic movies or human experience movies, and I don't know, it's just like you know, I have friends who are like obsessed with making art and making music, and it's the same thing, except I don't make music, I make movies. And like it's just like an extra expression that's allowing us to, you know, flex these creative muscles that we just can't help. And it's like, it's almost like an itch that you just have to scratch, or else like you start to get antsy, or like you know, that's why we love making YouTube videos, and why we love documenting our work and being silly and goofy and like finding new ways to present it to the audience. Because like, number one, it's great like marketing and entertainment, and like it's fun for us to make the videos. It helps us have fun with it instead of just like doing another painting. Like it's, you know, we're humans and we're goofy guys and we like to do that stuff. But also it's just like, there's this other part of us that just craves like learning and craves to just, you know, get better. And you know, movie making is a feat in itself. Like, I see you have my movie on there.
We're going to talk about that. We're going to go into that soon.
I mean, I can talk about it right now if you want.
Yeah, no, I think it's just a segue, but like, I totally agree. And I've said this a lot, and I'll say again, but I think like videography and the video aspect is like an absolutely massive other creative outlet for me. It's not just to supplement the business and to make videos, to expose, to get sponsorships and money. It is like totally another language that I love, that I want to get better at. I want to keep pushing it. How many different ways can you film a painting? You know, it gets redundant, but that creative experience of, you know, we're getting so weird. You guys should watch the video. It's gonna be awesome. But like, we're getting so weird putting this canvas video together, paint each other. But like, yeah, it's another creative outlet. Like, it's so weird. I talk about this kind of like perpetual pie chart of like, we make a painting, we film the painting, and then we edit the video of the painting. And the video itself is a piece of work, I think, for me, and I'm sure you agree, but it's also to document the other piece of work. So it's this weird kind of perpetual cycle. And maybe I didn't just do a good job of explaining that, but like, you know what I mean,
yeah,
right?
But also like, even in the end, like the painting might be the end product in the video, but the video is the end product.
Exactly. The painting is just the content that makes up the project,
the subject matter.
Exactly. Which is very like two birds with one stone, but also very like paradoxical. And it's like, I always say this, it's like, what is the project, the painting or the video? And a lot of times it is the video. Because like you said, the painting is just a subject. But I think that's so cool. And so this goes perfectly into Kiptoe versus Robot. If people are fans of Kiptoe, which I'm sure everyone watching is, he did the coolest thing ever. And this is when I was like, are you kidding me, man? Because we're very similar. I think we have a lot in common in the realm of our interest of videography. And so give us the elevator pitch of what Kiptoe versus Robot is.
And so Kiptoe versus Robot is alternate universe reality near future where in Los Angeles, the government puts these anti-graffiti robots in charge of painting over all the artwork in the city. And I'm the last guy to stand up for my livelihood.
Hell yeah. And it's like, what, a 12-minute short film. Super legit. Like, not, I mean, all your YouTube videos are super legit, but this is like, you had a DP, you know, you're doing casting, you did props, you like a full-blown music.
But it wasn't like as big as you think. It was basically just me and my roommate.
No, but it was big. It was like...
Well, like the project was massive.
Being humble.
The project was massive, but it was basically just me and my roommate tackling
Chet,
everything.
Right?
Chet.
Shout out Chet.
And like, man, we were just hanging out one day. Like, he recently moved in and we were acquaintances, and we quickly became really good friends. And like, he was like a filmmaker as well. And we were just chatting one day on the couch, and we thought of this cool idea of like having these robots painting over the artwork, and then I'm fighting, and then we get into this scuffle, and like, we were like, who's gonna win? And when we're like,
let's do it.
Wait, this could actually like be a thing. We could actually make this.
Hell yeah.
And then before we even we never even wrote a script. It was basically an outline of the action points. And before we even finished the ending, or like 3/4 of the way through, we were like, just started building the robot because we were so antsy.
Wow.
So we were like, we'll figure out the ending later and all that stuff. Like, let's just start building the robot. And so then, you know, when we're in this creative vibe and we're building the robot and stuff, like, then we'll start to flesh out the rest of the story. But we really just want to, this is like the main idea here, and let's just start going on this. So we got like these foam mats, you know, that were from Home Depot.
Right.
You just puzzle piece together. And then we had like dollar store plastic and, you know, sand castles and trash bins and just like stupid stuff. And like, you know, that was literally like the most collaborative, same page I've ever been with anyone. And it was just so inspiring and like exciting and challenging and fulfilling and frustrating and like rewarding. And like took us 3 months to build this robot suit. By that time, we kind of figured out the plot points, but we were still iffy on some things. And sometimes like he was a bartender and I was doing my mural thing, and I had a couple jobs here and there. And like then I would even like go to Colombia for a month or two and like have to put the project on hold. But like there would be times when he would come home from work or I would come home from work, and we would just bust through the door and be like, remember that thing? I figured it out.
Nice.
Or remember that plot point?
Yeah.
Like, this is how we're going to do that.
I love that.
And it was so awesome, dude. And then like, you know, when it came time to film, he had a buddy, Ted, who was like helping him with filming stuff. I was the main actor, and then Chet had another guy who was inside the robot suit, so I could fight someone. And basically we were co-directing the whole thing, and we basically had Chet behind camera doing DP and co-directing, and I would be doing all of my own stunts and all my own acting and all this stuff, and we'd have to choreograph the fights in our parking lot and do it over and over and over again. I'd have to learn how to do a backflip and like all this awesome stuff, and just like kept building on top of it. And like when it came time to shoot, we found this freaking absolutely perfect location. We were looking for 3 days straight, looking for locations. I would go on Google Maps and just find blank walls and like try and figure out ways to shoot. And it was going to be a challenge because like we have all this equipment and we're not going to want to like shoot out on the street in the open, like at night in LA. That's like kind of iffy, you know?
Totally.
Since we're doing a guerrilla style. But then miraculously, it was like literally the last building on the list. And I'm like, you know what? They're probably not going to say yes, but we just literally have to ask because you never know.
You never know.
And there's like, we pull up and it's like this parking space with like a gate and everything. And there's like the walls like inside the parking space.
Right.
We walk in and the guy who we're supposed to talk to is on the phone down the hallway over there. And we're talking to the clerk here and like, hey, can we talk to the boss? We'd love to paint a mural on your space here. And he's like, yeah, he's down there. And we look across the hallway and he's just like, he looks like a fucking hard ass. And we're like, great. Put on your sales hat, you know? And then he hangs up the phone. You know, I have a printout of my work here. So immediately he can see what I can do.
You have like a pitch. You're like ready to pitch it.
Yeah. So we walk up to his desk and we're like, hey, how you doing? This is me and my buddy Ched. We're here. I'm a local muralist in town. Actually, it was funny because it was easier to say we're both muralists than for me to say I'm a muralist.
Okay.
So like the whole gag at the whole finding a location
Chet's like
was
a professional
like,
muralist.
he's a totally muralist too. But like, hey, we're muralists in town and we saw this beautiful wall and we're not looking for any money. We just love to, you know, beautify your space here with a really solid, cool piece of work that you can.
So you didn't tell him even about the short film thing. This was just to get the access.
We got to work our way in slowly.
Okay, I like that.
So we're like, we'd love to paint a mural. And he saw my piece of paper with my printout work on it. And he's like, oh, this is really nice. I'm like, well, that's not what I expected you to sound like. But okay, I'm glad that you think it's great. And then he's like, that sounds really nice. Yeah, I'd like that. And we're both looking at each other like,
gentleman.
Okay, great. He's like, do you want to go out and look at it? Oh, yeah, let's go check it out. So we went outside, looked at the wall. It was beautiful. It was massive. There was like 2 doorways, garage doorways there. But I was like, I'll work around it. I'll figure out my sketch later. And then, you know, we slowly worked into it. Like, actually, Chet's going to be like doing like a cool time lapse of me. Do you think that'd be okay? And he's like, yeah, no problem. And we were like, actually, we're thinking maybe doing it at night. We're trying some experimental stuff. He's like, yeah, no problem. I'll leave an extension cord for you guys, and I'll give you the key to the gate.
Oh, what a guy.
And I was like,
and that's the green light.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Brian. Thank you. And man, that was so clutch because literally we pull up to the location before sunset, close the gate behind us, lock it, and then we have a closed private set with electricity. We could plug in our lights, and I was just like, this is a dream come true.
Totally.
And the location was mad clutch. And then I worked the sketch around it. It actually worked out well with the story elements. And we kind of had to like work around our story action bits with the location. But it actually ended up working out really nicely. And, if you're working with any kind of location, sometimes you got to change things in your script because you have to work with the location. Yeah. But like that was another challenge and an exciting part of the process. And, we strapped our mattresses that we slept on. We pulled the sheets off, like literally our mattresses in the dorm in our apartment, strapped them to the top of Chet's van, drove to the location in downtown, and they were like, just threw them on the ground. They were disgusting, and like by the end, they were all filled with nasty dirt and shit. But like, we're doing flips and punches and kicks, and he's throwing me around. Like I got a back pad, I got knee pads, I got butt pads, and like the only part that didn't, get on the pad on the back was like these hip bones in your back.
Ooh.
Right here.
Yeah.
And the first stunt that we did, he throws me across the way and I have to land like on the cement because we have to get me landing on the cement. Right. And I did that about 5 or 6 times. Oh my God. I realized very quickly how much this was going to hurt, this whole shoot. And I'm just like, I'm an athletic guy, but holy hell. Right. I'm landing right on cement.
You're really laying it on the line.
And I was going full hand because it's my movie and I'm the fucking guy on the poster and my name's in the title. And I'm like, I got to go so hard.
Can't be any other way.
And, we had, mattresses and pads for almost every other stunt. But that first stunt really fucked me up, man. And like I had a huge strawberry on my back. And like when I laid down, it was like a sharp pain, like going through my whole spine. And like, I was just like, well, I'm in it to win it, baby. Like, let's do this.
I mean, dude, yeah. And let me ask you this, because, like, did it get bigger as time went on? Like, you had these interests, you and Chet were like, oh, let's do this. You started doing it. It's obviously a long process. Put a crap load of work into the actual props of the robot. There's great videos, everyone. You should watch, like, the behind the scenes of making it. But like, did it get bigger as time went on? You're like, oh, wow, we're doing this. Wow, we just got this location. Wow, it's private. Wow, we could do this at night. So was it like a slow burn of a bigger scale? And from the beginning, did you think it was going to be that big? Do you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. And I think I had ambitions and intentions for it to be as cool as I could get it. But like quickly realized like how in over my head I was. And then quickly realized how lucky I was getting. Yeah. And quickly I realized, like, this is going to be a reality. And this is literally going to be as cool as we wanted it to be.
Totally. And you worked, it was like, what, a year, right, of production?
Pretty much, yeah, off and on for a year. And it was 5 days of shooting.
Right.
And then it was, 6 months of editing. And then, I did all the sound design myself.
I remember.
It's cool. It's like painting with sound. It was, every robot move had to have a noise. And I replaced the spray gun with like a intimidating. And then, I even hired, like my buddy from high school knew a composer and I met him once at a Super Bowl party or something in passing. And then I hit him up and it was like kind of late in the game. And I Chet knew like a sound designer and he like said, yeah, he can compose it. And like, I got the first pass of his composing back and like I almost shit my pants because I was like, this isn't it, man.
Oh, really?
Like,
not what you wanted?
Like, I put all this work into this movie and it's going to sound like this. Like,
wow.
And then, like, I got in touch with this other guy, my friend's friend, and I was, like, running out of time. We set a date, and it was only, like, maybe a little over a month until we're supposed to, like, premiere this thing. Which was like an arbitrary date, but you got to finish it sometime.
Yeah, you got to give that deadline.
And then I gave him like the locked, what do you call it, picture lock, And then like gave him like a temp score of what I was inspired by, like from Captain America, Winter Soldier, that kind of vibe. And then immediately he was like, I'm on board. Let's do it. I love this. I love everything about this. Like, I'll even put some other projects on hold because I want to work on this so bad.
Wow.
And, you know, I paid him, you know, a pretty good rate. And then, you know, we even paid for color correction.
Right.
So those were the only two services that we had to hire out.
Yeah, and outsource.
The score and the color correction, which were 100% worth it.
I completely agree.
Yeah,
it looks beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, I remember watching, like, not that I'm some, like, pro Steven Spielberg, but, like, I understand, like, cinematography or, like, the dialogue and, like, all the props. And, like, I remember just being so flabbergasted when I saw it, being like, oh, my God. Like, this is so legit. I'm not here to smoke your salmon either. I'm just being honest. And it was so cool.
Yeah.
And it's so legit. And even though it's 12 minutes, it is, like, such a, like, compiled story.
And I think like even like I'll show my friends now. It's been like 3 years since I made that, and I'll show my new friends and I'll like watch it with them, and I'll just cringe, man. I'll be like,
well, it's natural, right?
Like,
that's anything.
Oh, like this part, that, and like it's the worst. Actually, the most like the worst part of the movie is like the final painting shot, because it's just like story, action, story, painting. They're just painting. There's no motivation really behind the painting. It's kind of more like a resolution, and it's like it's just like kind of sexy painting shots. We couldn't have even got better shots, but we were like, by that point we were like, didn't have any storyboards for the painting shots. We were gonna do it by the hip, and we were just like, this might look cool. Let's slow this down. Let's do that, and like.
Yeah.
That's the weakest part of the film.
But you could always, looking back, you're going to have the critiques. You know, it's impossible to have that perspective when you're making it, right? But, I mean, still, like, a huge accomplishment. And I mean, my little short film, I wasn't even sure if it was, like, a short documentary, came out after. And that was, I mean, it was very different, but, like, the scale. And I think what I took away was the ambition, like you were saying. It's like, whoa. Especially because you had updates, and I knew it wasn't like a production crew and you. It was, like, you. It was pretty much you. And obviously your homie, but I was like, wow, he did that. Like, and it just, I remember being like abnormally ambitious when kind of plotting and kind of trying to ask to do my little short film, but it was awesome. And we were talking about last night, and I want you to like just slowly touch on this. Like one of these things, it was like this epic, huge, large scale project like that that lasted for a year. Like, it's so wonderful to have that, and it's hard to get it, but like this overarching extreme reach goal to have, but to consistently work on, to consistently blood, sweat, and tears into.
Totally.
And are you longing perhaps for something like that in the future here?
Totally. Yeah, I mean, I want to do something cool like that again. I'm kind of done with the action robots, you know. Like, I don't want to do that again. But I want to do more of like a human story, and I want to like combine like my love for that stuff with like what I'm doing currently, and maybe do like a dramatic or like a dramedy TV show scripted, like a beautifully shot, scripted, well written, like story of what I do now, and like all the behind the scenes stuff that goes into painting murals. Like my YouTube videos are like basically me painting the mural, but when the camera's off, sometimes that's the best stuff, man. And like, to be able to write something compelling and story driven, and all the people that I interact with on the street, and all the crazy stuff and all the adventures I've been on, and like I got stories for days and days and days, and like I love to like explore that a bit, and like do something like Lil Dicky Show, Dave, and
David Show's. I know you're a big
fan. And then, you know, I'd love to do something like that. I feel like there's a space that's begging for something like that. And there's like so many mural artists in the world now. And I feel like you'll be able to connect with a lot of people. And I don't want to do a stupid reality show where they follow me around. Like, I was even contacted by a Discovery Channel years ago where they were like, hey, we love your YouTube channel. We'd love to make a show on the Discovery Channel or the Travel Channel. It was like a talent agent that reached out to me, and I was like literally in line to get food stamps, and they're like, hey, do you want to make a show on Discovery Channel? I'm like,
you're like, I'm hungry.
I'm like, yeah, but let me get these food stamps real quick. But like,
you want some narrative, artsy
Yeah.
not a reality.
I don't want a stupid reality show.
Well, it might not be stupid, big guy. I would watch it.
That's basically my YouTube already.
No, I know exactly. You're exactly right.
And like scripted and beautiful,
Right.
and like characters with arcs and plots,
Totally.
and you know, I think that'd be just awesome.
That's
I know,
cool, man.
And like, I want to take some time off later this year and maybe start writing stuff and really like pick my own brain and figure out what I could do. Maybe it's like to come up from LA. Maybe it's when I go to South America. Maybe it's, I don't know, but I think at least it's something that I can dig into rather than just chugging away on YouTube videos for the rest of my freaking life.
No, I agree. I mean,
and like, yeah, I'd love to at least take some time. Like, I'm working on one of my biggest mural projects ever, the biggest budget I've ever had, coming up in October, and I'll be able to take some time off to
hell yeah, bro.
to focus on some stuff.
And that's a secret.
Stuff. Secret.
No, just kidding. But that's so sick. I think that's totally true. We were talking about this the other day, or last night. That's why I asked, because I think I totally agree. And like you said, pick your own brain, take a step back. I mean, for me, like this whole move in the studio was like, you know, it was like the first time in like 2 months. I was still making videos, but where I wasn't having that like crackhead, you know, pressure to make videos. And like I kind of stepped away for a good amount of time. Also, when I actually broke my leg, like I didn't do any YouTube or art for like 2 months. And as tragic and catastrophic that was physically, like mentally, it was like one of the best breaks I've had in 4 years.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to kind of like dig deep, do some emotional like archaeology within yourself. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Especially if you have those interests and agendas to kind of switch up and do other creative stuff that I know you love. Mm-hmm. So I'm all for that, buddy. Can we talk about murals and paintings real quick? Because I really like to dive in. I'll decide.
I dabble.
Because I mean, again, like I don't talk to many painters and artists. The first homie on the podcast, this guy, Dean, actually, his first name's Dean. He's a great oil painter, and I love just like actually the tech, and like we're about to paint together, so I'm gonna find out more. But I want to differentiate you because again, I loved in the early videos you have those oil paintings, you have some small canvas works, but correct me if I'm wrong, the majority of your work is massive murals, beautiful, and working at that big scale is such a different experience, I think, than working on small paintings. But also, you had your gallery show that was all paintings, and that was before COVID, right? Like right before
2019.
Yeah. So, and we're doing canvases here, and I'm excited to see you with a paintbrush in your hands. But can you talk about like the difference between those two and what you like, or I don't know, open-ended question?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Someone asked me this like on my mural in Marion. They were like, "Why murals?" And I'm just like, I don't know. It just feels more natural to me, man. Like I can bust out a humongous mural in a week, and it takes me a year to paint one little canvas.
Oh, that's interesting.
And like, you know, I just become accustomed to it and like the experience of it all, and like painting outside using my whole body,
right?
You know, intervening a space. It's not even about that as much as just like I just like painting big and using, you know, rollers and just getting it up there and like getting dirty and sunburned and hot and sweaty, and I'm out there, I'm grinding, I work really hard for
it's like I think people, even me, I've done some murals, not nearly as many or as big as you, but the physicality I think is overlooked. I mean, your shoulders are what, titanium?
I have a residual exhaustion from painting like for a month straight, murals and stuff, and like I feel like I can't even catch up. Like even if I sit down on the couch for a little bit, I'm like nodding off. I feel like I'm past due for like a few days off. But like, you know, like it's definitely like a marathon race, and like especially the one I did in Marion with my biggest 175 footer, and it was like
that was outrageous,
east to west, and like it's literally sun all day, and I'm out there in my long sleeve and my sun hat. And like you get up there and by like 10:30 in the morning, you're wet. You're just wet. And you're just marinating in your own sweat all day. And you're just you just have to like, once you're up there, you just have to get wet. And you're just wet all day. And you're like, okay, this is how I'm going to be. And like you know, and then you're up there on the lift and you have all these like materials and you got to like organize. And they're like, that was the first time that I did a whole mural, like with just rollers basically. Because like, usually I do rollers and then I spray on the details, but this wall was so big, I wasn't even exactly sure how much spray paint I was gonna need.
Oh, I've seen.
And
yeah.
like they were also like supplying the paint for me, so I don't have to pay for any of it.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I've done indoor murals with brushes and stuff.
Yep.
Like I don't do spray paint indoors.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not like a dolt, but like I was like, let me just, because some of my favorite artists like Aries and like Stainer, those guys switched to just bucket paint. Like they don't use spray anymore. And I'm like, well, I super look up to those guys, so why don't I try out what they do? And it worked out fine. It was definitely like a little bit more longer process. Like spray is obviously a lot faster, but I tried to do as much as I could with just the rollers and like get a nice painterly stroke in there and just like.
That's so interesting. Well, that's one of the things. Again, I'm trying to talk about like the real tech of it. It's like because the scale is so big, the minute detail within the illustration in person becomes, like massive, and you don't need a little spray paint.
Like a fingernail becomes the size of your own head.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And so then you can make those painterly strokes with a giant roller.
Yeah, and it becomes like even funner that way. All you have to do is, and you're done. And like I've been trying to get like more painterly in my work anyways, and more like confident and defined. And like the more I do stuff like that, the more I can just go and leave it and be like, yeah, that looks good. And then you step back and it has all these beautiful like strokes, and it's all like kind of like step gradient style, but it has these nice layered effect to it. And it's like my limited palette. Totally. And it's just like you do that for the whole thing, and it looks really nice.
Totally. Can you talk about that a little? Because I absolutely love that. And it's one of the main questions you got for the Instagram post that we'll go into at the end. But your style, and I'm pretty like, not to toot my own horn, but I'm pretty expert on your style because I love it and I've been watching. I think it's so amazing. I think that's another reason I'm attracted to different artists is because of the unique style. Not just like the iconography, the style of composition and your characters, but your color palette is so your shirt, like the what is it? It's like pale. It's like a off-white, red, blue, whatever. There's other ones,
yeah,
but
it definitely like swings back and forth. But.
Yeah, but it's so you. And then you do that sort of order of operational step value system, which probably is also very efficient to paint large scale quickly, but it also lends its hand to that sort of style. And like you have what? Like you usually work like 4 or 5 values, and
yeah.
So you're really limiting yourself, but it gives you enough.
Like, basically 3 colors to work with, and then like the tints or shades or values, whatever you call it, like in between those. And I might have a total of like between 5 and 7 colors for the whole thing.
Right.
And I just paint the whole thing with that. And it was born out of necessity.
I feel you.
And it was born out of like painting murals and like, well, if I'm going to paint this whole wall, I'm just going to get a few colors and just do the whole thing with that.
Yeah.
It becomes a space saver. It becomes a money saver and a time saver. And it was just born out of necessity. And then I just like kept doing that. And like, it's easier, number one, just for my brain. And number 2, it looks very cohesive.
Yep.
And number 3, it has a nice pop to it. And number 4, again, it's easier.
Yeah. No, you hit it. It's harmonious and efficient.
Yeah.
But it's also like a defining characteristic of everything, because obviously if you wanted to, when we're going to paint this paint, have 16 different colors, you can get all weird and twerked out with whatever you want. But, it's very, very your style, which I love. All right. So we did post on the SLEWNIVERSE Instagram, which everyone should follow because that's where we talk about new guests and you can ask direct questions. And we had a bunch of people, obviously, because people love you. And also we're in the same vein. So there was, I think, like almost a couple hundred, but I narrowed it down to 5.
Couple hundred?
Yeah, bro.
Questions
that people submitted, on the Instagram story.
Oh my God.
I picked my favorite. So this first one, who cares, Alicia? What is your favorite place that you have traveled to or painted a mural in? Because again, we didn't really touch on this, but one of the things that makes Kiptoe so epic is he's extremely global, going around the world for the past 5 years. It's a favorite place.
I think first one might be Colombia, just because it was like a special place, because that was like the first time where I forayed into the world myself as a solo traveler. And it was like my first time really getting after what I wanted, because I just got fired from The Amazing Race for like a season, and I was
Wait, what?
Yeah.
We should have talked about but you were a contestant?
No, I was like in the art department.
Oh.
Yeah. There's like a
All
whole
right,
team behind
for the
that
next
shit.
podcast we do, we'll go deep down.
All right. I mean, that's definitely a story for another time. But,
Yeah. Good.
yeah.
Goyim.
So I realized like, oh, I definitely don't want to do that, but I know what I do want to do. So let's start traveling. And I went to South America. I did my whole my whole South America tour.
Right.
I went to Bogota, Buenos Aires, and Rio. And Bogota was the first stop. And I was like ridiculously nervous. I'm just some white kid from New Hampshire going to this like crazy Latina place. But when I got there, I had already like messaged these guys from who are like painters down there and like tour guides and stuff, and they helped me out tremendously. And they immediately met me when I got there, and we were just like, I was like, oh, this is great, and this is easy. And I met Javier Almiron, who was like mi parce. He's like my homie, and like it was great, man. We painted 2 murals there, and like that was like my first step into like doing what I do now for like international stuff. And I met a girl and had a great time, and yeah, it's good.
That's great. Yeah, the cool thing about all these stories that Kiptoe is talking about is like there's literally videos of every single thing he's talking about. So I've seen them all. So I'm just picturing. I remember Javier and the videos.
Yeah.
And, all right, so that's great. Yeah, we'll do kind of medium rapid fire on these. Andrew Teitelbaum 09. A time that you felt most accomplished.
The premiere of Kiptoe Robot.
Hell yeah. You were super happy with yourself.
We invited like 50 or 60 of our friends. We hire our friends to be friends with us.
Yeah, we hired.
No, we invited a bunch of our friends, and we bought like 150 beers and some tequila, and we just literally told everyone like, just come watch the thing we made with us.
Yeah.
And like it was in this like cool, my homie Bo Spencer hooked up like this dope art loft space. It was like a friend deal, and it was super cool. We had to like buff out the wall like 10 minutes before everyone got there. Projected it on the wall. The composer had his buddy bring in beautiful speakers, so it sounded epic. And like waited for the sun to go down. We're just drinking for an hour, talking about the project, hanging out with everybody. It finally got dark, and then clicked on the movie. Everyone sat down on the floor. Didn't even have chairs. Yeah, just sat on the floor and watched the thing up there. And like within 5 minutes, everyone's cheering and going, "Yeah, Kiptoe, yeah, get him! Oh yeah!" And I was just sitting there like soaking it up, like. All this pain and all this hard work and all these challenges are so worth it for these little 12 minutes.
Totally.
Like that entire year of work boils down to these 12 minutes, and it was worth it tenfold. And so, yeah, that sticks out in my mind a lot.
That's a good one. And I feel like I agree. Also, didn't you send it to Mad Film
I
contest?
sent it to a bunch of
you got in a bunch.
I got a couple of awards. Went to France, and
that's so sick.
Yeah.
Here's a great one. Gillist. Sorry guys if I'm botching these. How did you get your name?
Yeah, that's not really a cool story, unfortunately.
I know, but what is it? Can you give us the acronym?
The official acronym is kinetic imagination presented through our experience.
Nice.
So that's basically saying like, take what you've learned, take what you've experienced, and feed it back into your work in a kinetic imaginative way, and be able to have other people experience it in a way that you can translate it and have them experience it and then feed it back into their lives. It's like a cool cycle. Make it kinetic, make it fun, make it, use your imagination, and that's kind of basically what that acronym stands for.
And when did that moniker begin?
I coined that slogan way after I came up with the name, so.
Okay, but when did Kiptoe, when was the Kiptoe moniker? Was that high school or?
Started using that right after I graduated college.
Okay.
So basically, before I moved to LA, I was like, let me reinvent myself. Came up with a new name.
Yeah.
I always liked Kip as like a cool cowboy name.
Yeah.
And I just kept making up letters to fill out the name. And Kiptoe, Kipto, is actually a name in Ethiopia. And then I added the E on it as like a unique thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I would come up with a name, like it took me 2 days to find those last 3 letters, but. Then every time I come up with a name, I'd Google it and Instagram it and see what will come up. Right. And finally, like Kiptoe, nothing came up. And I got Kiptoe.com. I used it for all my socials.
I've only heard of one Kiptoe.
Yeah, so I was like, let me, come up with a name so I can write those 6 letters on the wall. And then people look that up and everything of mine comes up.
Yeah. No, that's smart. I like that. L. Wood, did you ever find that the idea is better than the end product? I thought this was a great question.
That is a great question. Yes. It goes both ways because like you have this great idea and then you execute and you're like, man, that sucks. And then like you just kind of have to try again next time. Or it goes the other way where you're kind of like iffy on an idea and then finally you get through that tough wall in the middle and it's like, this sucks. And you finally break through and it's like,
I love it.
Oh, this is awesome.
Yeah.
So it definitely goes both ways for sure.
Totally. I think and I think about this a lot in a general overarching way, that our brains are so powerful, especially like artists who do it a lot and you're always constantly thinking about ideas. It's like sometimes the idea and conception is, like like it's like a godly idea that's in your brain, and you can never almost share that perspective because it's you or it's me and it's my idea and it's what I think, and that idea comes with like internal feelings, and making something can almost never live up to that initial explosion spark. But like you said, some ideas are not as dramatic as that, and then you could surprise and surpass yourself. But I think that's totally true, and I think about that a lot. I'm sure a lot of artists can relate to that. Exactly. Okay, last one. Lee McBoy. What's it like being in the Slewdio?
Dude, it's so amazing. It's really cool in here. I told you, I'm super proud of you, man. I'm really inspired by like
you're a big inspiration.
Your hustle.
For me,
so like it's, you started with your studio in Connecticut. It wasn't really what you wanted it to be. And then you're like, I got to go where the people are. And that's what I did when I moved to LA. I'm like, gotta go where the sharks are. I want to be a shark.
Hell yeah.
And so it's cool that you're finally like in New York City, and like even just this little corner here, and like the other studio is like your full studios out there, and it's just like you have this really awesome setup, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what comes out of it. And I think you are inspiring yourself in a way to have the space to be able to have the work to breathe and develop what you want to develop. And like we were talking about earlier, you don't even really know exactly what you want, but you're here to figure it out, and like you might stumble across something that you never even thought of before. And so that's cool about having a space for sure. And like my studio at home, like I live currently in Joshua Tree, and I have like a little garage studio there, and like I don't have ambitions of like building a big team or doing the things that you want to do. Like we're obviously different people. And I honestly, I feel a little bit more at home when I'm traveling than when I'm at home.
Right.
But like, that's just the first time that I've had my own kind of space. And it's definitely like you have a lot of pride and a lot of gusto to be able to turn this space into what you can do with it. You
could sort of milk ideas a little, you know what I mean?
And like nothing's forever. So, it's like a finite amount of time and it's cool to be able to have a place to work.
Well, thanks, bro. Well, I'm glad you've blessed this place with your presence.
Yeah, dude.
This is an epic
we're
podcast.
About to freaking rock out on
we're about to rock. I'm so excited. Maybe even Chris will flash the photos we took these super dramatic, epic photos of each other. We're going to paint each other. The video of us and Kiptoe's channel, my channel, will probably be out maybe a week or two after this podcast comes out. But you should totally, obviously, check out all of Kiptoe's socials. I mean, come on. If you don't know him by now, this is just blasphemous. But wonderful, man. I mean, hopefully you'll come back. Also, I know you're gonna be in New York eventually once more. But
gotta come back.
Any last words?
Keep grinding, keep hustling, keep loving.
Kiptoe's a hustler, everybody.
Don't be too hard on yourself, but also have high ambitions. Make sure to love your friends, what do you call it, unconditionally, and make sure to say hi to your mom. Yeah, honestly, shout out our moms. Love you, mom and dad. And my brother just had a baby. I'm a funkle now. A funkle? What's that? A fun uncle. Oh, a fun uncle. Yeah. Well, you have to be the fun uncle. Yeah. He's gonna come out when he's like 16 at LA. I'm gonna show him around 16 years from now. Clear the streets. All right, episode 7 over. Thanks, bro. Peace.